Tonight at our table, we're talking about Elaine and other of our scholars, some of our guests here, about the fact that when they returned to campus, how much our campus has changed. For example, Bill, they couldn't find the original engineering building until they were told that the engineering building is inside the other building that we built around it. So we got to think about the roadmaps and how they're changing on campus and how we update those over time to make sure when, with our alumni coming back at the University of Calgary and all of our campuses, they can recognize where they studied, where they worked. It's really, really important. And our campuses, I hope everybody knows the new tagline, very, very importantly, are truly places to start something. This is a brand that has really been activated across the University of Calgary, across our community, but also across Canada. People are very envious of the fact that we are the entrepreneurial university, and we're here with our students, faculty, staff, and our community to start something. Doesn't matter what it is, but this is the place where you're going to start something. For example, from new technologies like quantum computing to medical breakthroughs in everything from mental health to cancer detection and, of course, stroke treatment, to energy transformation and decarbonization. Really, really important pieces that we are leading in those areas, and we're leading the country, and in many cases, we're leading the world. We could not be the university we are or make the difference we do without philanthropy. And the lasting support of our legacy donors really exemplifies this. I hope you see that the University of Calgary is on an incredible trajectory. We're very, very young, we're bold, we're dynamic, place to start something. We are, if you were waiting for your luggage in Pearson Airport, you would know that we're the #1 university in the country in new company creation for the 3rd year in a row. With over 90 companies that we've created. But what's really important, that these companies are not simply in areas of science and technology, like imaging and things like that, but they're social enterprises as well. Companies that are improving the lives of everyday Calgarians, and we're transmitting that knowledge around the world to improve society. Because that's what great research universities do. They look around them and they say, we can have an impact. We can improve the world. And again, it starts here. We're the youngest university, and many of you helped to create this, both when you were here, working at the university, or through your legacy gift. We're the youngest university to enter the top 5 research universities in the country. The youngest. Every university above us, roughly 100 years older, some cases 150 years older. Universities below us, 100 to 150 years older than we are, which is an amazing, think about that. In just a very, very short time, your university has reached the upper echelon of research universities in this country. And by the way, of universities of our age in North America, there are 1,837 of them. We're number 4 in North America in terms of rankings of universities of our age. That is a remarkable accomplishment. And earlier this year, we adopted a new strategic plan, aptly called Ahead of Tomorrow, the product of an astonishing 24,000 submissions in public consultations. With ambitious goals, and think of this, we were talking at our table about the size of the University of Calgary, with the ambitious goal of increasing enrollment by 10,000 students by 2030. We're already at 36,000 students. We're going to increase enrollment by 10,000 by 2030 because that is what Calgary needs, what the province needs. There are too many students, qualified students, leaving this province, and we have to be able to provide them with a great education, great research background, work integrated learning, so they can stay here with their families and really help to build Alberta, which you did during your lifetime here. We are, and again, really important to emphasize that the Legacy Society members make this happen, and we are eternally in your debt. It would also be remiss for me not to spend a moment highlighting our Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, in particular, given tonight's keynote address by Dr. Serge Chalhoub. Here on campus, as well as at WA ranches, one of our largest legacy gifts, our faculty of veterinary medicine is on quite a roll. So is the faculty of medicine, Cummings School of Medicine, by the way, but the faculty of veterinary medicine is as well. By the way, have everybody heard the phrase in Calgary, all hat, no cattle? Okay? The president of the University of Calgary has 1,000 head of cattle. Just saying. Rob's here. Rob's going to correct me on this one. They're talking at this table about whether or not that's true. So we are really internationally recognized in a very, very short time for our innovative curriculum and community-based clinical education model, because veterinarians are essential to Alberta's critical cattle industry as well as the agricultural sector, and because our province does not have enough of them. The provincial government stepped up funding to help University of Calgary meet this demand, and we are partners with the Alberta Animal Rescue Crew Society, and Dr. Chalhoub knows well that we provide vet care to low-income Calgarians through the Calgary Urban Project Society. We're also doing exciting research in the One Health approach that recognizes the connection, an important connection, between human, animal, and environmental health. These are things that you might not associate with but the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, but they're the leader in the country in this area. And again, because the University of Calgary can integrate all this expertise across our faculties, the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine stepped up and said, we are going to lead Canada in terms of One Health. And things that you also in areas of research that you might not associate with veterinary medicine, like Dr. Jeff Bernaski's work with the Calgary firefighters on burn tissue regeneration. By researching how reindeer regenerate tissue when they regrow their antlers, this is an area what Jeff is really thinking about and how we can apply it. You have heard me say many, many times that great research universities improve the world around it, make it fairer, more prosperous, and healthier. The work we're doing to help firefighters recover from burns is what I mean as an example of that. It is truly amazing. Across our faculties and around our campuses, our research has real-world impact, and it too is supported by the gifts of our Legacy Society members. So let me say thank you again, thank you, thank you. Our students, our faculty, and our staff, in the work they do every day, benefit from what you've done and what you've attributed to the University of Calgary. We will not be the success that we are without you. We will not be the success that we will be with using Ahead of Tomorrow without your contributions. So thank you so much. It really is humbling to see the support from the Legacy Society for the University of Calgary, and I really, really appreciate it. And thank you as University of Calgary President. And at this point, we're doing sort of a tag team. I'd like to welcome to the stage Dr. James Allen, our Vice President of Advancement. James?
Ed, thank you so much, and thank you for those inspiring words. I love hearing all of the pieces from across the university. The reindeer research, I heard that a year ago, but I'd forgotten about it. It's fantastic. Good evening to all of you here tonight. I'm so pleased to have this opportunity to speak with you and to celebrate you for good reason. As Ed said, philanthropy is at the heart of everything we do, and it supports incredible work across this organization. And this past fiscal year, our philanthropic community, 1,000 strong, rallied to make it one of our best years yet. The collective giving across this community, including everyone here, reached a total of $182 million. It's an incredibly humbling display of generosity that touches every corner of our campus, benefiting our students, benefiting our educators, advancing our research, and supporting important projects and facilities, all of which create incredible impact in this city and beyond. Part of that $182 million is the largest legacy gift in this university's history, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about it here tonight. Joan Snyder, a longtime friend of University of Calgary and supporter of chronic disease research, sports science, and women's athletic, left an extraordinary $67 million to advance those causes so dear to her heart. It was an astonishing gift. It was incredibly powerful. It was one of those things We knew it was coming, and we didn't quite understand just how big it was going to be and how powerful and how incredibly impactful. And it's just been remarkable. It will have impact across this institution for decades to come. It's very, very powerful, and it's already making a difference. Likewise, a $16 million legacy gift from the US philanthropist T. Boone Pickens is set to transform brain and mental health research at the Hotchkiss Brain Institute. Those are two remarkable gifts, but like each and every legacy gift, they are phenomenally valuable, no matter the size. Just as those record-breaking donations change entire faculties and institutes, the gift of a student award means so much and means so much to the student who receives it. It changes a student's life, opening doors, helping them reach their full potential, and helping them understand that they are truly valued as a scholar in our community. It empowers them to change the world around them. And that's what legacy giving is all about, changing the world, whether it's one person at a time or 10 people at a time, creating a brighter tomorrow for generations to come. As Joan Snyder herself once said, philanthropy is more than money, it's helping people. The community coming together, each giving what they can and supporting each other, just as my parents taught me. Like Joan, you are part of a wonderful group of forward-thinking donors, including the University of Calgary, in your estate plans to create positive change in our community. Your legacy commitment inspires us. It's the spark that starts something special at UCalgary and keeps us going, and it's what gets me up every morning with a smile on my face to come into this place. It's a beautiful thing. And it inspires so many people. Many of our Legacy Society members who are here tonight joined us because they were moved by the legacy gifts of other people. That's the power of philanthropy. It's an undeniable force for change, and you are all catalysts. And for that, we thank you for your vision and your generosity. We're honored to create a home for your enduring legacy here at the University of Calgary. Now, before we turn it over to our keynote speaker, Dr. Serge Chalhoub, to talk about his passions, veterinary medicine, and community outreach, I'm happy to introduce one of the highlights of our Legacy Society events, our donor video. It's a chance to get to know people and to get to hear a bit of the individual stories. And Ed's already scooped me on this one. This year's video features legacy donor Larry Jarrett, alumnus and someone who's here tonight. Larry earned his chemical engineering degree here in 1978 and then made his first donation to UCalgary only 2 years later. And I don't know what you were doing 2 years after you graduated, but I wasn't making donations, so well done, Larry. And remarkably, he has not stopped giving back to the school since then. That adds up to more than 40 years of giving and counting. Already, his family name is attached to an endowed bursary, offering students entering the Schulich School of Engineering a meaningful boost when they need it most. I'm excited to learn more about this. I'm looking forward to the video. And of course, as Ed said, it happens to be Larry's birthday tonight. So, should we do a little round of happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Larry. Happy birthday to you. There we go. I can't think of a better introduction, and this is a good singing crowd. Well done. That usually doesn't go as well as that, so nicely done. And let's look to the video.
To me, it was a matter of just giving back. I think the first year was 1980, basically a couple years after I graduated. To me, it was sort of just a natural progression. What are you going to do, after high school? Go to university, what are you going to take? Engineering. Sort of wanted to follow my father's footsteps a little bit, and I never really thought too much about it. It was just sort of what I wanted to do, and I was determined to do it. Things have changed so much and the methods have changed so much, but it's still the quest for knowledge and for solutions, and engineers have the training and the background to be able to do that. I had to figure out what I was going to do with my estate. So I sat down and thought about it for a while, and there was two things that are important to me. I've split it that half was going to go to cancer and half was going to go to university. I mean, this is part of my legacy. I did learn a lot from being here. So I decided that I would do a bursary based on the need of the individual.
My father is an engineer, kind of took the inspiration from him, and basically from there always wanted to be one. The tech industry is really growing. It's very interesting and it's changing a lot nowadays, something to keep up with every minute. I got an email from the university saying that I won the bursary and I got the money. My laptop just broke down in the middle of my semester. I had assignments due, I had papers due, and everything was in that, like, it would just be gone. In software, that's the main thing I need. So I was worried, like, how to do, what to do. And then I remembered, wait, I have the money, I just got it from the bursary. It helps out a lot. First year is when, like, people need the support to know that they should stay into this or go into this. As a student, of course, we are, like, short on money all the time. Most of the students have full-time or part-time jobs. So it helps let them focus on their education more and helps with paying our tuition, our books. For me, it was my laptop.
It's not for me, it's for the student. It's just to be able to do it and provides the ability for that student maybe to go into engineering. And to me, that's the reward that I get out of it. And part of the reason it's the Jarrett family bursary is that I consider that 2/3 of the money comes from my parents. Both my parents did a lot of volunteering and they would donate to charities too. I think I just sort of acquired that, you have to give back. My passion now is giving. I contribute to between 20 and 30 various charities. Even a small amount helps. If you can't do it, it's one of the most rewarding things in life to be able to do.
Thank you, Mr. Allen, for your insight and words on this. Mr. Jarrett's belief in philanthropy is truly inspiring, and to hear about the actual impact of that generosity from Trioshi herself was fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Jarrett, for joining us tonight and for sharing your story, and happy birthday. So, next up is our keynote presentation, and the speaker is certainly no stranger to me, at least. Dr. Serge Chalhoub, professor in the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. I met Serge not on my first day of veterinary school, but actually as a volunteer at one of Calgary's 24-hour emergency and specialty hospitals. I was just starting to get my foot in the door within the profession with the goal of applying to the University of Calgary Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. Although I had not applied yet nor been accepted, Serge always took the time to go over his cases with me and involve me as much as possible. I could tell right away that he was truly passionate about veterinary medicine and that he thoroughly enjoyed teaching. Unfortunately, the first time I applied to vet school, I was not accepted. I was devastated. I felt as though all of my dedication, hard work, and determination had been for nothing. I reached out to many people for advice, and one of them was Serge. He talked me through what I was feeling and gave me advice for applying the next year. Most importantly, he told me not to give up and that it would happen for me eventually. I was so thankful for this support, and with the help of Serge and others, I was accepted to the University of Calgary Faculty of Veterinary Medicine the second time that I applied. There isn't a single student at UCVM who wouldn't place Dr. Chalhoub among their favorite professors. He truly cares about his students and treats them all with familiarity and respect. He is extremely passionate about teaching, and he desires to set up every single student and colleague for success. He rarely says no, and at times he stretches himself fairly thin between different faculty responsibilities, clubs, rotations, and community outreach programs. I had the privilege of being a part of the CUPS program, which provides people experiencing poverty and homelessness with health care for their animals, the ARCS program, one of the animal rescue groups in Calgary, and the first Stoney Nakoda Animal Wellness Outreach Program, all with Serge. The Stoney Nakoda Outreach Program was an extremely successful program made possible by amazing and caring veterinarians, veterinary technicians, students, and volunteers within our community. Whether it's discussing the function of the kidneys at length, laughing about family and friends, going through a point-of-care ultrasound case, or you guessed it, winning a cat neuter competition against him. It did happen. I know that I always have a friend and colleague in Serge. The University of Calgary is extremely lucky to have Serge, and I am beyond grateful to have him as part of my veterinary school experience. Now, please join me in welcoming my friend and colleague, Dr. Serge Chalhoub, to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. You can hear me okay? Great. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm very excited to talk to you about some of my passions. I think, can we put oh, there it is. It's up now. Just going to make sure that works okay. Yeah, so talk to you about my biggest passion here, beyond the kidneys, as Dara mentioned. And I was going to talk about chronic kidney disease, and someone told me that probably wouldn't be the right audience for that. But talk to you about community engagement, veterinary education, animal health, learning, and building relationships. Before I get started, I would like to make a land acknowledgement. I know we've done this already. Seeing that many of the initiatives I will talk about today are respectful of this, I'd like to make a land acknowledgement again. So I'd like to acknowledge and pay tribute to the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7, located in the heart of southern Alberta, which include the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprised of Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, Tsuut'ina First Nations, and the Stoney Nakoda, including Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations, which we will be talking about today, and also that the city of Calgary is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. So, things I'd like to talk to you about today is first talk to you about my journey. I was born and raised in Montreal, and French is my first language. I apologize if I make some grammatical errors. It does happen. But talk to you about where it began for me, and then talk to you about community-based learning, where that dream came from for me, where it all started, and also talk about how it flourished here at the University of Calgary. Talk about breaking barriers. That'll be a big theme today, how with a lot of awesome people here, we are breaking barriers and learning how to break even more in terms of access to veterinary care, and also the future, where we'd like to go, and potentially where we need some help in getting there. And come back to Dr. McCauley's point of start something. I can honestly say that was one of the first things that when I was hired here in 2012, I felt it was very much an environment where I could start something and have the help to do so, and have no issues doing things that I thought were, only potentially dreams. So start something is something I'm really passionate about, and very thankful for having the job that I have here to be able to do that. So let me be your tour bus guide and take you through some of the initiatives. Some are ones that I'm directly involved. Others are some of my colleagues that happen to be here that I will be mentioning through. Again, I am from Montreal. If you've ever been to Montreal, you know that the driving there is spectacular, I could put it. So I recommend you wear seatbelts, maybe 2 seatbelts, and close your eyes for some of the driving. But in all seriousness, let's go ahead and start it. So I'll start with my journey. So again, I was born and raised in Montreal, and I was struggling with a good kind of opening statement, and I was talking to Dr. Coots, Susan Coots, who's here, and we'll be introducing her shortly because of one of her, of course, initiatives and impact on me, and that understanding animals mean to us as individuals and as communities is important. And for me, it started as a teenager with my first cat. You can see me there with, I don't know why I was wearing a bathrobe, but you can see there. Whoops, I don't know if it's a pointer. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so not quite sure. And Gribouille was his name, very French name, given to me one Christmas, so very excited. And there's my second cat, actually, that's Elvis, a cat afterwards. And the importance for me was that as a teenager, discovered that I had a significant neurological condition called cluster headaches. If you ever Google this condition, it's actually called suicide headaches in literature. It's actually a terrifying condition. And there were a lot of times where I really didn't know what to do with this condition. And what really helped me by far and still today were my pets and my cat at the time. Whenever I'd have a headache, I'd be able to snug my cat and Gribouille would just be beside me purring and everything would be okay. And to this day, that's very true, and that continued with Elvis. So my relationship and my understanding of animals at the time was very much as an individual, and became very important. It's actually the reason why I went to veterinary school. So as a teenager, I learned really quickly 2 things. Number 1, cats are actually aliens from outer space. I don't know about you. Who owns a cat here? Raise your hands. Anyone owns a cat? Do you talk to your cats? Yeah, a few people. Do they talk to you in weird languages? Cats are very different. But the second thing, in all honesty, is that I realized I wanted to be a veterinarian so I can help animals because they help me. And that was my individual relationship with animals. So how did I go from being a veterinary student to a professor at the University of Calgary? And you can see I do have my winter hair there. That's my usual. This is actually one of the reasons why I love UCVM and the University of Calgary. We can truly start things. This is a CPR competition that we created for our students. CPR is a very serious thing, but we can make it into a fun, engaging learning activity. And I'm actually someone that they have to talk to there, and I can tell you I'm not easy to talk to when I'm in that actor mode there. But it's a wonderful, wonderful initiative, and again, it speaks a lot to starting something and why I love UCVM and the University of Calgary. So, taking you through my journey, University of Montreal, 2003. I was a almost final year student. I graduated in 2004. And one of our professors at the time, Dr. Blais, who's over here, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago, had a vision. And her vision was to create a community-based learning initiative. And what the learning initiative was something called Clinique Jeunes dans la Rue, or Youth on the Street. So again, this started in 2003. It was brand new, and at the time, schools weren't really doing this. It wasn't really something we did. And she thought this would be a wonderful initiative and learning opportunity. So at the time, myself and another student became the co-leads of this project with her, and we helped her organize this initiative. We would travel downtown Montreal once a month, partner up with this clinic, Jeunes dans la Rue, with this gentleman whose nickname was Pops. And what he ran was essentially a shelter for youths living on the street, and where we fit in this was to be able to help them because a lot of them have pets, a lot of animals. And one of the really neat things as a student to realize is how important those animals were to those youths living on the street in terms of their mental wellness, physical well-being, et cetera, et cetera. It was such a massive, massive learning experience. So once a month, we would load up a van, drive 45 minutes to downtown Montreal, and provide services to these animals, including vaccines, deworming, blood work, et cetera. It was a really, really, really neat experience, humbling, eye-opener, and the ability to see things that I've never even imagined of, especially in my world. So it was very much an eye-opener. So I became a big fan of community-based learning initiatives, and I wanted to learn a lot more. I did a specialty. I'm a specialist in internal medicine and wanted to come back and teach, so I was hired here in 2012, very lucky. And at the time, we already had some community-based and learning initiatives, and I was really keen to start another one. So what are they? They are classroom-enriched learning enriched and applied, it's classroom learning that is enriched and applied through community relationships, education, and building trust. So the learning happens on the ground within the communities while building trust and having reciprocal education learning opportunities. They're just incredible. Also, massive insight to the human-animal bond and how powerful that is and what that means to individuals, but also as communities. And that's something that I had yet to really learn beyond the individual standpoint of how animals are to us, but also to communities and what that means. And better understanding of barriers to access of care. And I have to say, my University of Montreal experience, that was such an eye-opener, not really realizing about those barriers. And those barriers are actually probably much worse now than they ever were before from when I was a student in 2003, 2004. Also allowing us to see the world through different lenses and cultures. I can't begin to emphasize how important that is, that different lens and also different cultures, and we're going to come back to that. And also recognizing and acknowledging our own biases, which again, as a student growing up in middle-class Montreal, definitely had my own set of biases that I didn't even know that they existed. So this model of learning is very powerful and can benefit us in a lot of different ways and also be reciprocal. So going a little further from that, how does that work? We talk a lot about One Health, and how do these community-based learning initiatives achieve that? Well, you can see that in the world I work in. Well, there's no doubt there's the benefit to the animals, again, the individuals, but also herds, group of animals, etc. Communities, maybe our own communities in Calgary or other communities. We're going to talk about our Indigenous communities. of course, benefiting the environment and benefiting our student education. So you can see a story here from you today. We're going to talk a little bit about Smudge, but again, how powerful these community-based initiatives can be in helping animals, but also in helping our students learn. Smudge was helped by our own students during the ARCS rotation, and our students, we really didn't have any money to help Smudge, and you can see Smudge there later being adopted by new parents and being totally okay and healed, and our students did that. So fast forward to 2014, and again, very appreciative of the support we had at UCVM, our leadership team till this day, very supportive of initiatives that we want to start and helping us develop them as well. At the time, Alistair Cribb was our dean, and myself and Jack Wilson, who you can see pictured there, came up with this idea. We wanted to start a third-year initiative, a community-based learning opportunity for third years. We have a 4-year program. The third years are the last year before their final year where they're in rotations, so they're not in rotations yet. How could we develop a community-based learning opportunity and fit into our curriculum so that all students take it? We developed something into our third-year professional skills communication curriculum. So essentially, it's a communication lab, essentially on paper, but it's so much more powerful than this. It's a collaborative opportunity with the Calgary Urban Project Society. I don't know if many of you know the Calgary Urban Project Society. It's a pretty neat organization in Calgary. And they have a lot of programming, but their biggest objective is to help people who were previously homeless to not be homeless and to have sustainable lives. And that means on multiple fronts. The really neat thing and how we became partners is that they have multiple buildings in Calgary, and they allow pets. They allow their tenants to have pets. So it became the perfect marriage together. We could help them, and it could be really reciprocal in terms of the learning also for our students. So housing stability, and with that also came giving some of their tenants pet care that they wouldn't have. So I'll talk a little more about that program. Started again in 2014, 2015. We started in the basement of some of their housing units. So you can see the colorful coloring there. That's not our school building there. It was really neat. We were really cramped, but wow, what a neat initiative. And I invite you to read some of the quotes that I write here. These are from our students, and I also have from some clients, but very, very powerful. Our students feeling, wow, these are really neat initiatives, and helping them learn also what the real world looks like and helping them being better veterinarians as well. So in our first year, we made Avenue Calgary. I didn't even know that we had made Avenue Calgary. Someone sent me this newspaper clipping, and I was very honored to know we made it with fish fossils showing what Calgary was like 60 million years ago. But anyways, just in all seriousness, that was a really, really neat thing. And we definitely got a lot of noise in the press, which was really cool. So it's all about relationship building, promoting better understanding, and breaking barriers. The CUPS tenants that come with their pets to see our students aren't shy whatsoever. They sit down with our students, our third-year students. And remember, these aren't final-year students. They're third-year students. They're still putting things together, and they're more than willing to share their stories of how they were potentially struggling. And one of the clients always tells me, Serge, share this story. Share how I used to live under an overpass with my dog. And my dog was really the thing that kept me alive every day. And I'd have to make the decision, do I feed my dog today, or can I feed both of us? And the decision was always easy if I only had the resource to just feed my dog. And when our program came along, how excited and how he cried in front of our students, because now he had a regular place he can go to help his best friend. So really, really powerful, and powerful for our students to see this and also to help. So it is our third years who run this clinics, supervised by us. The program has grown over the years, and now we offer a lot more students per year. I would say, again, it's a low volume program, but we treat probably about 80 pets a year. And we now include our interns, which are graduates that go on and do an extra clinical year, and they will do a lot of spays and neuters. So now we include spays and neuters, vaccines, deworming, and we've also moved from the downtown CUPS location, because that's where we went after the housing, to Western Veterinary Specialist, which is on 10th Avenue, right beside a C train, because accessibility was something we recognized was an issue for a lot of our clients. So now they have a C train just steps away, and they can come and see us. So partnerships make the dream work. There's no doubt about it. And over the years, we've grown and needed partnerships, including, of course, UCVM, CUPS, but local veterinarians, VCA Canada. VCA Canada, if you're aware, is a large corporation that has multiple veterinary practices, including specialty practices like Western Vet Specialists, where we are in during our clinics, and the Horizon Veterinary Group. Together, they provide a financial contribution to help us help pets that need more than what we can offer. Dental treatments, x-rays, blood work, things that we're just not capable to do at this time. So it's been an incredible partnership. Purina's a pet food, donate tons of pet food every year. We just had a meeting with them yesterday where they increased their donations to help us. Because for them, again, as you heard of that story, feeding their pets is an extremely important thing for them. Very, very important thing. And the Alberta Veterinary Medical Association is a partner as well, and helping us with all the regulatory stuff and temporary veterinary licenses every year. So very powerful, and we also do some education to show that it does help our students learn communication and break some barriers. So very powerful. But of course, there are some challenges and limitations that you can see here. Our clients often need emotional support, and something I'd like to have is potentially more help on the ground with emotional support, especially when their pets get sick. And that is something we're just not built. We run the clinic 6 times a year, not every day. So that means that when their pets get sick and we're not around, that's a big issue that we don't know how to, be there for them. Health issues for our pets. There's no doubt there's some things we're just not built, again, to do. We do a lot of wellness, preventative medicine, but when their pets get older, they have diabetes mellitus, for instance, there's a limitation to how much we can offer. Surgical care is a limitation. Sure, we could do spays and neuters, but bigger surgeries, that's definitely an issue. Stigma, a lot of clients are actually worried. One of the first things they'll say, I feed Whiskas and Friskies, don't judge me. And how do we break that stigma that, no, we really don't care. We're just so happy you're here and we're happy we can help you. Coaches, staff, and resources, that's definitely an issue every year. We work hard to make sure we have a stable group of coaches there and resources for sure. You can see physical access to care. We've addressed that. Timely access to care, that's a big issue because we only offer the clinic 6 times a year. Follow-up is a big issue. Often it's me. And when the clinic's not running and trying to coordinate follow-up for a lot of these pets. And financial, that's definitely a big one. There's no doubt that every year we have to think about our budget and how we could put it together and what we can and can't offer. So that is definitely some of our limitations. A lot of the projects I'll talk to you about today, that of course, that is something in the back of our minds. So I'll bring you to another initiative, and this is one I co-created with Chantal McMillan, who you will see in the right over here. Both Chantal and I are internal medicine specialists, and which means, and this will make a little sense later, we don't do surgery. The last thing you want us to hold is a scalpel blade or try to do sutures. It gets very scary. Someone asked me when I was holding a scalpel blade if I drank too much coffee. No, that was just me holding a scalpel blade. So it's not a good idea, and that'll come into importance in a minute. But this rotation with ARCS, which is a very large rescue organization in Calgary and Edmonton, starting about 2017, they do incredible work, and the pets they get are from all over. And a lot of the pets they get, the animals they get, are surrendered animals. People who unfortunately couldn't afford care for their animals anymore, so they surrendered them. So these animals have stories, which is pretty fascinating. Our goal was really to expose our students to rescue and shelter medicine, kind of understand that side of the world, high volume medicine, so they can practice a ton of physical exams and also surgeries, but also powerfully think with their brains and think we have no money to work up a lot of these animals. What can we do with very little? Something called spectrum of care, moving away from the gold standard. In other words, where every animal has complete blood work, x-rays, diagnostics. What can we do with just our brains and maybe limited resources? How can we help our pets? Like Smudge that I showed you. And we can do a lot. So it's a pretty neat rotation to help students realize what they can do with their brains and also clinical reasoning and critical thinking. So if you're wondering, if you're looking at that picture, if you spotted me, why I look so, everyone is smiling except for me, it's again because I actually have a scalpel in my hand. And I'm, as an internist, again, I did a residency, a specialty. The last thing I should do is touch a scalpel blade. And I was just about to teach the students something with a scalpel blade and sutures. Wrong. Dr. McCorkle, I think you should report me to the authorities because that should have just never happened. But it's a wonderful, wonderful initiative, and we continue this partnership. Not all our students go through this rotation. This is an elective rotation. Again, it comes down to resources, faculty, staff. We just don't have the resources. ARCS has the cases. There's no doubt they have the cases for us. The shelters and the rescues are bursting with animals. There's no doubt about it. So you can see a lot of our faculty members participate in the rotations, from diagnostic testing, infectious disease, learning about infectious diseases, and just simple diagnostics, like just picking up a microscope and looking under there. We're so used to sending things out to a laboratory, but we could potentially make a slide of something looking under a microscope. So much we can learn. And using ultrasound. A lot of practices now involve ultrasound in veterinary medicine, but how can we use them to their fullest? So, all about building confidence in our students' ability to help all animals within a spectrum of care. So, that's been the goals of our ARCS rotation. Really, really powerful. And it's been going on for many years now. And now I'm going to talk about an initiative that I'm not a part of. Dr. Susan Coutts, who's sitting back there, began this in 2009. So, UCVM continues the tradition, continues the work of addressing Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action that focuses on post-secondary education. And these programs are a couple ways in which we are building respectful and mutually beneficial relationship with Indigenous communities. So this started in 2009, 16 years. This is by far the longest program that we have, community-based learning initiatives at UCVM. And it was built by Dr. Coutts going up there quite frequently, from what I understand, for research with wildlife and in conversations with the communities out there, understanding that they needed help. Help with dog overpopulation, health issues, behavior issues, dog behavior issues with humans, and also large barriers to veterinary care. So in response to their community concerns and requests for services, Dr. Coutts created a 4-week rotation, usually held in February, that serves 5 Dene Métis communities in the Satu settlement area of the Northwest Territories. And they don't just do dogs, from what I understand it's mostly dogs, but also cats, chickens, guinea pigs, rabbits, and snakes. And if you're wondering why I've never participated in this rotation, it's that snakes part. I'm actually terrified of snakes, Dr. Coutts. Just kidding. I've actually promised her that in the next couple of years, I will participate. Here's my pledge to participate. But this is an incredible, incredible opportunity. So our students travel there. For students, they travel winter roads. If you've never seen a winter road, you should Google it because they're very impressive, and to deliver preventative services. So we're talking about vaccines, deworming, spays and neuters, and other things as well. The students undergo pre-trip preparation, so cultural humility, learning about cultural humility, learning about potentially our own biases, local context, and also learning about reconciliation. And it's all about providing the best care possible under the circumstances. So again, that spectrum of care. What can we do with what we have to help these animals and help these communities? In other words, not just potentially this gold standard and the difference between that and euthanasia. There's a lot we can do in between, so much we can do in between. So they hold clinics in arenas, classrooms, gyms, government labs, and they also do house calls. We'll talk about house calls as well with our Stoney Nakoda program. And they also engage the youth, the community youth. They invite them to come and see, engage them. Hey, this is what veterinary medicine is. Let's get them interested because we would like to see them come back and become veterinarians. How awesome would that be, right? How awesome would that be? So, thank you. So student co-learning with presentations, participation, interaction with elders. When time permits, our students go and do ice fishing and other activities with the elders of the community. The learning is just incredible. And I'm not just talking about veterinary medicine learning at this time, right? Learning about communities and a lot more than that. So the impact over the years, there are many. In terms of the dogs, well, the dogs are living longer. Improved body condition, that means that they're gaining weight and maintaining that weight. High service uptake, including rabies. So more rabies vaccination, which again is better One Health, right? Disease prevention. For the communities, there's reduced negative encounters with dogs, for instance. That's been very important. Reduced concerns, of course, less concerns of overpopulation of spays and neuters, and strengthening bonds as well with the communities. And of course, for our vet students, just priceless. Cultural humility, again, I'm not just talking about veterinary medicine, the skills, cultural humility, veterinary medicine in a limited setting, resource setting, and communication. Veterinary medicine very far from the comforts of Calgary, where we have very large specialty and referral practices. That is huge. Speaking about actualizing cultural humility, you could see that, again, research is at the forefront what we do to show that we can truly impact our students and also our communities. And so there is an improved students' confidence working with diverse cultures, implementing client-centered approach, recognizing and challenging preconceived biases about Indigenous cultures and animal ownership. And that is very important, those biases, because me owning an animal is quite different from potentially you and other communities as well. And that brings me to the before last initiative I want to talk to you about, and that's our Stoney Nakoda Animal Health Program. So this started in 2017. I was not a part of this, but this relationship began to formalize with a sweat lodge ceremony and the creation of an advisory council of elders and knowledge keepers that was guiding the partnership with UCVM. And what was decided on in terms of the objectives were the following: increase Indigenous youth exposure and access to careers in health sciences, including veterinary medicine. Ensure Nakota language and the importance of Indigenous knowledge are fostered in any activities introduced by UCVM, very important. Facilitate shared learning opportunities between community and UCVM, and also increase access for community to appropriate and respectful veterinary services. So very, very powerful. So building off that, in the fall of 2018, UCVM, with some of our faculty members, began offering about 1 or 2 times a year till this day youth outreach programs from kindergarten to grade 12. And it was really a positive experience for everyone involved, but it was relatively ad hoc. In other words, limited faculty numbers, and it didn't address all those priorities, those objectives I talked to you about. And then came something very special. A one-time grant from PetSmart Charities of Canada, very large grant, to expand this program so that it touches all 4 years of our curriculum until 2024. So this was huge. And what did this allow us to do is really go to this vision where we can touch all our DVM classes. From the first year, our students, where starting the conversation is important and understanding what is going on, our students are engaged in viewing a documentary entitled Ahomapeni Relations and Res Dogs, which is created by the Nakoda Youth AV Club, and really helps our student understand animals and their community and some potentially the biases that we may have in that. So very important. In second year, our second year students go and engage the youths on the reserve, on the communities, to talk about what veterinary medicine is, get them excited about it, answer any questions. Very, very powerful. The third year portion has not yet happened. We're hoping soon, but to have our students, in terms of realizing wellness, almost like the CUPS program, getting them that out there before fourth year, getting them involved in these initiatives as well and providing care to the animals of Stoney Nakoda. And now, for our newest portion, the fourth year rotation we just held a few months ago, which is a 2-week rotation providing preventative veterinary services. So all of this, building relationships with our First Nation neighbors, providing consistent and culturally appropriate veterinary services, improving animal and community health, safety and welfare, and improving DVM learning outcomes. So our Stoney Nakoda Animal Health Program was held not too long ago in March 2023 at the Good Stoney Rodeo Grounds, and it was absolutely a success. You can see the numbers there. Remember, this is 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, 4 students were a part of, you can see 201 dog exams, 117 cat exams, 318 physical exams. That's massive. You could see vaccines, deworming, spays, and neuters, almost 200 surgeries that they were involved in. Very impressive learning initiative. And this was on site and also house calls. And yes, as you probably heard and you're wondering, I'm telling you I should not be holding a scalpel blade. What am I doing performing a cat neuter, being taught by our very own Dara, our moderator, one of our own students, so student, teaching, professor. That is a pretty neat circle there. In all seriousness, it was an incredible, incredible rotation. Tessa Baker, Dr. Tessa Baker is here, who's been absolutely our lead in this program. Thank you so much. And of course, Susan Coots. And when I heard this was happening, I still wasn't a part of it. I emailed them both. I'm sure you remember that email. I was like, I heard this is happening. How can I join? They're like, well, sure, come on in. And was very happy to help them make this happen. But a huge thank you to you two for including me in this and also for creating this wonderful program. You can see this is one day of surgery. This is just one day of surgery, how busy these programs are. Can we fine-tune this rotation and make it a better learning initiative for everyone? Absolutely. But that's going to continue, obviously. We're very excited next year. We're going to hold 2 clinics, so 4 weeks. Very, very excited. I'm going to finish off by talking about another initiative by another faculty member, Jean Tan. Dr. Tan started an equine community practice initiative with Tsuut'ina and Siksika Nations in 2018. So far, she's been able to help 200 horses and 50-plus clients. This is absolutely powerful as well. And on-site services include examinations, vaccine deworming, lameness exams, dentistry, castrations, diagnostic workups, treatments of ailments as well. And they also have some industry partners from Boehringer and Zoetis, 2 drug companies that have helped as well. And again, you can see some very powerful quotes here. This is actually a quote from one of the youths there. I'm very interested in being a vet. Best part of morning has been seeing the dental work courses have gone through. I've had no idea how laborious it was. Someone who's very interested. Again, that reciprocal learning, that was extremely, extremely powerful. So her rotation has an emphasis on ethical interaction, so very similar to our Stoney Nakoda program, understanding indigenous relationships with animals, and understanding that it's not the same as us, that cultural humility. Reciprocal learning is taking place, student learning, cultural wellness, community education, and interactions with the community, and also mentorship of high school students. Getting the youth coming to the clinics and seeing what happens, and getting them to ask questions, getting engaged, and hopefully, again, potentially maybe being interested in a career in veterinary medicine. So very powerful. So again, you can see some powerful quotes here from clients of the clinic, but also from our students, and how powerful these initiatives have become, and also very humbling, right? So, in finishing up, what are we looking at for the future? There's a lot of things. We're all big dreamers. Tessa Baker, Susan Coots, Dr. Tan, myself, and some other people I've spoken about. Yeah, we have a lot of fantastic dreams, and our leadership as well. We have a lot of things we'd love to do. We'd love to integrate a lot of these programs years 1 to 4 fully, right? Really make them something that all students can be a part of. Year-long and regular offerings. We've been talking about probably our biggest dream is creating a UCVM community outreach clinic, something that people can come to on a full-time basis, a way for people to be able to keep their animals and not feel like they may have to make those difficult decisions just because of finances, right? So something very important. That is probably our biggest dream. Partnership with other health professionals. How can we engage other health professionals potentially with us, not just about veterinary medicine? The return of alumni and community veterinarians. Wow, that's been awesome. When we did our Stoney Nakoda rotation and we had our alumni, our veterinarians that have already graduated coming back and helping and teaching our students and also providing services, that was just incredible. And that's our veterinarians as well. It's just been absolutely powerful. Continued identification of barriers, improved access, and One Health. Absolutely. So we were able to really start something. As you can see, we started a lot of things. And what we'd like to do is not just continue them, but make them sustainable. Sustainability is very important so that we can help animals in the communities, but also animals for individuals. This is my 22-month-old daughter and our dog, Cypress. Of course, a rescue dog. She's now 15. We have 2 rescue dogs. They're both 15. So on that, I wanted to say a huge thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hello?
Yep.
Hello? Okay, perfect.
All right.
Thanks, Serge. As
Yeah.
always, that was great. In lieu of a formal Q&A session tonight, we all just kind of talked about it and thought that Serge and I would just discuss more about our community outreach programs, how we kind of got into veterinary medicine, how these outreach programs have impacted us thus far, and where we'd like to go in the future. So, Serge, maybe you can start off just talking about how you decided to get into teaching and what teaching means to you and how that impacts you in these, especially in these community outreach programs.
For sure. And I'd have to say, it took me a while to figure out what my passion was as a veterinarian. You know, I did my specialty degree, did a fellowship in nephrology, and so I actually trained in dialysis for cats and dogs. You believe that's a thing. And I was in New York doing dialysis for cats and dogs with animals coming from all over the world. And I realized that essentially kind of the top of my game, I guess, but I was not feeling satisfied. And I realized that I really enjoyed teaching our residents and our interns, and came back to Canada. I was very lucky that the University of Calgary was offering a position, and I took it in a heartbeat. And of course, that's when I realized, again, being at such an awesome institution, that I could develop these programs and feel supported. And that's just been awesome. And also to have awesome students who jump right in. I mean, Dara, I think about you in fourth year, and you did 3/4 of these programs. And yeah, just incredible how you really got your hands in there and really took all advantage of what was in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, and I was discussing this with Serge, both in fourth year and prior to this event this evening, these programs, and our fourth year program in general, where we get to go out, have that clinical experience, not be in the classroom all the time, it's really invaluable. I know that in the first 3 years of didactic in-classroom learning, we're learning about specific cases, specific diseases, and we're learning about, like you said, that gold standard. If you want to do these diagnostics, if you want to do these treatments, this is what you have to do. But that is not our reality in the greater community at large. And to not have had those experiences in fourth year with these community outreach programs in the greater community of Calgary, and not being able to put that into use, I feel like I would have been a step behind starting my career. And I feel very grateful just to have had those experiences, and to also not just see veterinary medicine as medicine, but it's also about our relationships with people and how we form those relationships.
Yeah, 100%. And even in my world right now at the specialty level, I do see a lot of owners that really have to make those difficult decisions, and being able to talk to them about different options is very rewarding. And I think that's what's the great thing about some of these programs we offer, is really helping our students learn that there are many more options than that, gold standard. There's a variety, a spectrum of things you can offer, right? And also, with cultural humility and understanding that for every person, every community, those relationships with animals are different, right? And that's very important. I gotta ask though, tell me about your journey in veterinary medicine. I know you talked about it and that journey, and what do you feel, was kind of your big moment that made you realize you wanted to be a veterinarian?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's kind of a running joke in my family that I wanted to become a veterinarian from a very young age, because my family generally are not animal lovers, and most of them are allergic to cats and dogs. So never had one growing up myself, and we always joke that that's what pushed me in that direction, because I just wanted to be surrounded by animals all the time and always helping them and being a part of that community. Yeah. And then a really good family friend of mine, Dr. Danny Joffe, is heavily involved in the community and has many different hats. And he kind of welcomed me in, and I started at just a small clinic in Calgary in high school, pretty much just cleaning and doing kind of that grunt work that you kind of pay your dues for. Yep. And then eventually transitioned to volunteering at the emergency hospital where I met Serge, and then TAing there, which is just a fancy way of saying for a technical assistant, so not quite a technician or a nurse, but just an assistant. While I was in my undergrad, also at U of C. And then, like I said, when I was introducing Serge, I applied my first time to University of Calgary Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, didn't get in. And that was a struggle, honestly. It was hard. I knew it's what I wanted to do, and I knew I needed to persist and keep going. And with the help of Serge and other friends and family and mentors now at this point, the dream became reality. And just being a part of this amazing faculty is truly, it's an honor. And I know so many of the profs, including Dr. Chalhoub here, truly care about their students and want us to succeed, and are now consider us colleagues, which is crazy because only a few months ago we were on one of these rotations and I was your student. But it's great to have those relationships, and I know that these relationships will last forever, and I will always be able to call on Serge for personal or work-related anything. So.
Well, thank you. And maybe you didn't know, but it took me 3 years to get into veterinary medicine, and which is really interesting, right? I mean, there's not a lot of places where you can train to be a veterinarian in Canada. I mean, we now have 5 schools, but obviously we're about to go through an expansion, but there's definitely a massive need for veterinarians and veterinary care. So it's interesting to hear as well. So I certainly empathized with your story for sure. And it is absolutely my honor to call you my colleague, compared to last year where I called you student number 22, I think it was, or something. I think you were just a number on some list.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I had to learn your name after, and no, just kidding. But so no, absolutely an honor to call you my colleague. Yeah.
Well, that was great. And I know that we're just running out of time here, but thank you so much, Serge, for that amazing presentation and for just sharing all of our initiatives and the UCVM experience with everyone here.
No.
Thank you.
No, and thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you again, Serge. I always enjoy our chats, even when they're in front of a whole audience. And I really enjoyed the presentation. As I said, it was very inspiring. Everyone, this concludes my part of the evening, and it's certainly been an honor to serve as your MC. I hope you all enjoyed your dinner and enjoyed the keynote presentation. Thank you so much. Now please welcome back Dr. James Allen to close remarks. Thank you.
Dara, thank you so much for that. Thank you for guiding us through the evening. And I always appreciate someone who has that determination to stick through something. That's impressive. So well done on you. And thank you also, Dr. Chalhoub, for your wonderful presentation. The initiatives are really quite remarkable. So impressive to know how many of them we have and the scope and scale of them. And so that's really wonderful. So I don't think anyone would dispute their positive impact in the community. So well done. Thank you for that. And I would just like to say, again, thank you to all of our Legacy Society members. Thank you for your generosity, for your confidence in the vision of the university, and for pledging your support to the University of Calgary for generations to come. For those of you who aren't members, I do encourage you to learn more about legacy giving. In the coming days, we'll send out a follow-up note with some information. But if you'd like to talk to somebody tonight, strangely enough, we have some people here who can help. We've got Sherry Dahl, our Director of Legacy Giving. Where's Sherry? Excellent. And we've also got Whitney Rossborough and Jessica Anderson, who are both here as well. Stand up and give a wave. And of course, you can come talk to me and to Andrea and to all of us. We're happy to help.